Hey everyone, welcome back with G.M.Spectre, where today we're going to do another playthrough in Virtual Pro Wrestling Salvo, and this is a ROM hack based off of WCW NWO Revenge, made by RagDas, very talented creator in the sphere, and this is his probably his biggest work we have so far. And usually his whole thing is showing off what we can get away with the ROM hacking scene at the time, and I'd say this is a good example of that. So obviously this, adds, it kind of takes a lot of characters that were going to be in the game that are still somewhat in the code. And then he, kind of made, whoever he wanted out of that kind of code. There's some moves that were ported over. The big thing here that people love is the fact that WWF guys have been added. So there's Stone Cold, The Rock, Mankind, Cactus Jack, Dude Love, all in one costume. Then there's, Undertaker, Kane, as well as a bunch of attire swaps. So like as you can see right here, Syxx is who we're playing as, and it's not his actual attire for wrestling, it's a NWO thing, but it is his head model, and it's a better than nothing kind of deal. And his moveset, he's actually just alternate costumes for Psychosis. So we're essentially playing a Psychosis at this time for the Cruiserweight Championship, but with a skin for Syxx. Which, it is what it is, but I mean, it's still just really cool that, we have these extra outfits out there for us, and it's not unusual for the AKI games, especially in the Virtual Pro Wrestling series, to just kind of, have multiple characters representing, different attires for one character. And I don't know, though, if I can find, there's a few other character skins, like for Rey Mysterio, there's the Black Ninja, there's Taka Michinoku. There's also the Hardy Boys. I'm not sure if I'm going to do like a solo Cruiserweight run with them, or if it's going to be a tag team run yet. More than likely a tag run, but I don't know. I'm thinking we'll do the Cruiserweight title now, and then we'll see what happens. I might do the TV title next week. Oh, jeez. I might do the TV title next week. Maybe I'll do the World Heavyweight, get started on that. There's just so many different characters that we can start on in this. But, there's also WCW characters that were going to be in Revenge that have been revived completely and given full movesets, full attires, all that sort of stuff. Obviously, the two big ones are Ric Flair, of course, and then Wrath, who you actually can access in the base game with a GameShark code. But, he's heavily unfinished and very glitchy wrestler. He is complete in this, no glitchy moves, full attire that was added, all that good stuff. And then we also have Fake Sting, which I already did a playthrough of. First playthrough, actually. I don't know why I was I don't know why, but when I seen the Fake Sting, I was like, I gotta play this guy first. Alright, now we got Benoit coming out next. Fireworks are always cool in this game. It's always cool to see like the different fireworks for different characters, different stages and arenas and stuff like that. And as you can already tell, though, an issue with this ROM hack, I just mention it every time just so people aren't hopefully caught off guard with it when they try it themselves, if they haven't already. During entrances and stuff like that, with all the new textures and multi-man matches, there's definitely some heavy slowdown here. Don't know why that is. But I do know that RagDas likes to push his ROM hacks to the limit. Same with his recent ROM hack, which is 9 Underground, I believe it is. And that is so, it pushes, it adds new, that is a WCW versus NWO World Tour ROM hack, and that adds 9 wrestlers that were meant to be in the game to the base roster and World Tour without replacing any existing characters, which I think is just really awesome. So like, Jushin Liger, Masahiro Chono, the Great Muta, Andre the Giant, quite a few cool new characters, and just some that were replaced as well, that were previously in his La Fin du Tour ROM hack, which is, like Dr. Death Steve Williams, which is a cool addition. I think he replaces that freaking Kit Katao guy. That guy, I don't know. I read that guy's story and stuff like that. And that guy just seems like a airhead, a douchebag. because I think he got kicked out of sumo at some point. I think he was a pretty big deal sumo wrestler, and I think he got like kicked out at some point because you know, he was like a sore loser or something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it was definitely unprofessional conduct of some kind, and he had an attitude problem. And then in a match against Earthquake, he just randomly tried shooting on Earthquake, and Earthquake's a tough guy, so he wasn't taking it. He was getting ready. And then Kid Katao just dove out of the ring after a while and took in a microphone and then just said, "Oh, wrestling's fake, yada yada." You know, just being an asshole. And I think it was because he was pissed off they had to put Earthquake over. And this was at a different time, obviously, when, you know, I mean, the business, I'm pretty sure, was already, you know, exposed at that point. Most people already knew. However, just to kind of go out there and say that stuff, like even nowadays, like there was the issue with the AEW girl, I think it was some celebrity or something like that, went on there and said the stupid thing about the thing I learned about wrestling is that you guys know who's going to win before it happens, and she said that on AEW TV, and it's just so cringy and lame, you know. Some celebrity, I feel like celebrities who like wrestling are the only ones who should be allowed in wrestling, in my opinion. You know, honestly, like there was David Arquette. You know, he seems like a guy who actually likes wrestling. He was in Ready to Rumble. He donated to Owen Hart Foundation, you know, all the money they earned from WCW. And then he eventually, it didn't work out for him. I think he was just trying too hard to make up for it. But he had that death match with, I think it was Nick Gage. And I think he didn't quite know what he was getting himself into. And, you know, things went wrong and he panicked and stuff like that, I think. And, you know, he got some nasty, a nasty injury in which, you know, he cut his neck, I think, with a light tube or something like that, because he moved his head, I guess. I don't know. It's just something that shouldn't have happened. But honestly, he was a fan of wrestling, and even then, I'm not saying he should have won the World Heavyweight title. I mean, that is just one of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen. But I don't know. I mean, people say that's one of the worst things. I think Vince Russo winning it was somehow worse. And even though, I don't know, I mean, it makes sense somewhat storyline-wise, but Vince McMahon should have never won the title either. Although I do stand by, I think it's actually pretty cool that Vince McMahon won the 1999 Royal Rumble, if only for the fact that it eventually led to that cage match with Stone Cold at St. Valentine's Massacre. So, I mean, that's how you have someone get a quick, cheap victory who never should have really won in any sort of capacity, and that's how you build to something really awesome that everybody wants to see, and that's one of the best Vince McMahon matches of all time. Vince McMahon knew how to get his ass kicked. That's one of the good things you can say about Vince. He did not phone things in. But I think some other good celebrities that were included is Mike Tyson. And once again, you could also tell he was a big fan of wrestling in general, you know, like even before he went in there. I think there was some interviewer asked him, like, you know, and probably in a joking way, "Hey, do you think you could take Hulk Hogan in a boxing match?" And Mike Tyson, you know, he was cool about it. He said, "What, you kidding me? Hulk Hogan, you seen how big he is? I ain't stepping in the ring with him. He'd body slam my ass," or something along those lines. So, you know, there's, even back in the 80s, you know, even Sylvester Stallone, you know, I don't think he was ever in the wrestling business in any capacity, but, like, I guess for, like, you know, Hogan's appearance in as Thunderlips in Rocky 3, I guess there was an incident in which some guys were making fun of wrestling, you know, behind Hulk Hogan's back or something like that. And then Sylvester Stallone kind of told those guys off and, you know, said, "Hey, you got to respect what these guys do." So I feel like as a whole, wrestling in the 80s and 90s used to just have a little bit more of respect associated with it as well. I feel like nowadays, maybe it's just because of people's attitudes in general, but I don't know, it just seems like it was a little bit more accepting, you know, during like the peak of its popularity, probably, which is a factor because people wanted to be a part of it at that time. So, you know, like Hogan's era in the 80s and, you know, obviously the Monday Night Wars and stuff. I mean, there's a whole bunch of celebrity appearances in the Attitude Era. But I don't know. I'll never. It's so weird to me, and I get it because they don't know anything about wrestling. But it's so weird to me, like when someone like says something like wrestling's stupid. I don't get it. People know that it's fake, right? And like for the longest time, when I was growing up as a kid, I didn't interact with people much, so I thought that like those were just weird, isolated incidents. But no, there's really people that think that us wrestling fans still don't understand that wrestling, you know, is scripted. It's just so funny and weird to me that people like that exist and stuff like that. I don't know. I just see it as a form of entertainment. A form of entertainment that requires a high amount of athleticism and severe pain management to be able to do, you know. Even, you know, like I've gone to a few indie shows where I live now, and, you know, it's nothing like you'd see crazy in like the WWE nowadays, or, you know, the indie stuff where they're doing all the stupid viral crap that they shouldn't be doing because people get hurt by it. But it's just, you know, basic wrestling. They do some basic moves, but there's still athleticism involved and stuff like that, and, you know, big moves every now and then. But it's just entertainment, and I respect those guys to hell, you know. And, you know, the people I watch, you know, it's Appalachian Championship Wrestling, so I mean, it's not anybody that's ever going to get into the WWE, I don't think. But interestingly enough, Shane Douglas is associated with it in a few ways, so he gets the occasional, you know, ECW wrestler to come in, you know, and do some shows. Heath Slater, you know, I've seen him wrestle in, you know, the middle school gym with the principal of all people. But that said, you know, I won't carry on too much with it because honestly, it's not really something that you can really see. I mean, they do have a YouTube channel, ACW, Appalachian Championship Wrestling, but they're not too much more popular than me, so. But I don't know, I guess I'll put the link in the description. But even like their shows, like, I don't know, they could probably manage their YouTube stuff better. But there are some interviews with like Shane Douglas and some ECW legends, like, you know, New Jack, Sabu, Tommy Dreamer, stuff like that, if you're interested in like more shoot interviews with ECW guys. Man, what a beautiful splash that is. And another thing, I mean, you guys have already seen it, but just in case if it somehow went over your head or you're just listening to the audio of this video, another thing Salvo adds is the fact that, you know, there's running grapples originally meant to be in Revenge. And I don't think there's any game start codes you can have that will reactivate them. So I think this is the only Revenge, you know, type game that actually does have running grapples in. You know, I mean, you may have already seen me use them with, you know, 6 when I did the behind grapple, and I think they're pretty cool. It's too bad they were never implemented in the game, but I don't know. I think the weirdest thing to me that was never implemented was in World Tour, Virtual Pro Wrestling 64, and Revenge, they never added the Hulk Hogan running leg drop. It's so weird. Like, that's his finisher. Like, I can understand, because like it wasn't until WrestleMania 2000 when they added like the people's elbow thing, like the startup position for that. So I can understand why they didn't have that in Revenge. You know, that was probably something they only maybe thought of doing, you know, with The Rock, because it's just such an iconic move. But at the same time, the leg drop, man, like all you had to do was just, while he's running, just do animated running leg drop. I mean, I feel like, how is that not on a very high priority of like moves? I mean, the guy is literally the first character you see in the entire game when you start up the game and access a menu. But also, speaking of Hogan, you know, rest in peace. And like I said, I mean, I made a tribute video of him, and on that video, like I said, I mean, I'm not, if you weren't a fan of the guy, I completely understand. I 100% get it. You know, I think we know way, way, way too much about Hulk Hogan. He's a weirdo. He's done some very weird, stupid things. I think he's ignorant in a lot of ways. But that said, you know, I'm not going to, you know, tolerate any comments, you know, celebrating, you know, his death or anything stupid like that. Or, you know, if you have anything bad to say about Hulk Hogan, essentially, on a video that's not asking your opinion about it, you know, like, obviously, that's kind of all the rage right now. People are just posting, you know, rest in peace Hogan, and then morons who are just attention seeking or looking for brownie points with other people are saying, oh, good riddance, or, you know, all sorts of other just terrible, stupid shit. Like, you're just attention seeking, man. Come on, shut up. If it's something like, hey, you know, Hulk Hogan passed, what are your thoughts on it? That's different. But when it's just like, hey, rest in peace Hulk Hogan or something like that, you're just intentionally being a dickhead to go and, like, crash out on other people's, you know, posts and stuff like that. Grow up. You're acting like a child. You're not doing anything good. You're not doing anything, you know, you're just spreading more hate and stuff like that. So just throwing the warning out there, guys. You know, that stuff's not going to really be tolerated on my videos. You can make jokes and stuff, you know, or, you know, reference Hogan. You can even say, hey, I wasn't a big fan of the guy, but it's sad he's dead, or something along those lines. But I'm just kind of throwing that out there again, just, you know, for those of you who haven't seen, you know, the tribute video or anything like that. Hell, that was kind of weird. That backup animation. I tried to update some of the costumes too, and there is an issue with the save stuff. It's not all of them. It's actually not even most characters, but some of the new characters like Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels and stuff like that. If you change their outfits and then you restart the game, or you change their outfits and you start like a match or something like that, when it's over with, they'll actually you know, just resort to go back to the default outfit, color options and stuff like that. So I don't know. I really wanted to kind of show off all the multiple different outfits if I could, but, you know, I mean, it's not something unusual in the AKI series. I know that was, I don't know if it's fixed with the new XK Style edition, but I do know that, you know, with the G.M.Spectre, you know, games for the wrestlers that he edited over the female slots, I know, like, you know, it's kind of the same thing. You know, if he changed the name or the attire or something like that, and then he did a match, that would just kind of reset the default, and there was not really anything he could do about it. Maybe it's different now, I don't know. I know that these ROM hacks are constantly improving, constantly getting, you know, bug fixes and stuff like that. So we got the SK Styles editions for WrestleMania 10 and WCW Saturday Night now, with some new characters and bug fixes, and all the benefits that come with the WrestleMania 2000 SK Styles, you know, patch. So that's just fantastic. I can't wait to try those out at some point. I haven't been able to try those out yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to a playthrough of those. Oh, and just another detail I want to add to this is also, if you don't, for whatever reason, know already, this is playable on real hardware. All the ROM hacks are, but the one I mentioned earlier, WCW vs. NWO 9 Underground, that is the only ROM hack, because it pushes it to the absolute limit of what you can get away with, is the only ROM hack that is not playable on real hardware. So just keep that in mind. I think I've said that in, you know, multiple videos. You know, Sean O'Connor, you know, pretty much the master of reviewing that kind of stuff. You know, ROM hacks, mods, all the latest. You know, not just in AKI, but in the older WWE games in general. You know, some WWE 2K on the Xbox. He's also reviews and plays a lot of those mods and stuff like that. And, you know, so he's a fantastic channel. He covers all that stuff too. You know, he was the one, you know, who really kind of put it in my head, mentioning multiple times that WCW versus NWO 9 Underground is not playable on real hardware, and I think it's the only ROM hack to not have that feature. That said, though, I mean, I'm going to cover all that stuff tomorrow when I do my WCW versus NWO 9 Underground review. I wanted to kind of jump on that one as soon as possible, so, or at least in my usual schedule of rotation with this stuff. So decided to move the Virtual Pro Wrestling Summit review, or I think it's Virtual Pro Wrestling Gamma Summit or something like that, and that's going to be next month instead. I was planning on doing it this month, but also, like I said, I think I mentioned an episode or two ago on Salvo that the Revenge ROM hacks, I mean, the longest time this has been the only, like, Revenge ROM hack alongside Revenge G, but there's going to be, at some point, there's going to be a plethora of these things releasing one after the other. and I'm looking forward to it. I'm all for it. If the wrestling, the N64 wrestling video game subreddit is anything to go by, there's going to be quite a bit of these new ROM hacks coming out. And of course, it's also really cool to see, you know, I think it's like Super Showdown or something like that is, you know, built off of Freem Edition, and that's a mod, but like that just looks awesome to me too. I've even seen some codes too. I've tried asking the guy for like some links or something like that and how to do it, or codes, you know, to see, you know, how he did it. But there is someone who has shown that you can have multi-man cage matches and stuff like that too. And there's like some things that are really cool. Like it's just kind of like spot setups for, like, you know, he does it. He said it himself. In which, like, you start the match and it kind of defaults to the area due to how the game start codes work. But like, yeah, there's like the Climb the Titantron Game Shark hack, in which you can, you know, jump off the Titantron, and you can have the ladders in any area of the game, including, you know, stages and backstage, and that seems pretty cool. But the coolest thing to me was the accurate cage height, as well as the tag team cage match. That just looks super awesome to me. But I don't know, that's that. I'm sure if I just look hard enough, I can find it, but it is what it is. That's just something I'll have to deal with further down the line. One of these times I do want to do for Rocky Sunday, I want to do, like, you know, WrestleMania 2000 hack compilation and No Mercy hack compilation. Probably do one for Revenge. I haven't looked into those kind of things, but like the Game Shark codes for Revenge or No Mercy. But when I first started this channel, I mean, I looked into the WrestleMania 2000 stuff. That was just like really cool stuff that I've always wanted to do with Game Shark codes. So to be able to finally get the chance and to see that most of them don't actually work, you know, and some of the coolest ones too. Like there was like a snakeskin wrestler, you know, there was snakeskin wrestlers, you know, to edit the textures of them. Didn't work. 8-bit wrestlers to edit the textures of them, didn't work. The only one that where they actually edited the wrestlers that worked was like something like wrestlers are chess pieces, and all it did was just contort the wrestlers in a very uncomfortable way. But hey, I mean, I guess I get it. You know, you can kind of make it out a little bit of the chess pieces. That'll probably be included in the video when I make it. And honestly, the cool ones like the Inferno hack, you know, Inferno match hack, that was really cool. That's one of my most popular videos, actually. And then, of course, there's I think the coolest one that there was that really changed things up a lot was the Prison City. Not Prison City, I think it was like the Prison Brawl match. And like it got rid of the ring. It didn't get rid of the ropes or anything like that. But, you know, it's still really an awesome thing. But like it got rid of the ring. It changed up the sound effects, so when you get slammed in spots, like it has different sound effects. It got rid of the crowd essentially, and it's just like it was kind of like a cage thing in which like the barricade was like super up high, so it was, you know, you were trapped in essentially like a cell, as they say. And when you got thrown into the barricade cell, you know, it made like the ring post noise, and it was just really awesome, really cool stuff. But, you know, like I said, I've got videos on that as well. I made some, you know, somewhat cool, I think, in my opinion, arenas based off of the in-game textures as well. So there's some WCW ones that I got off of the Game Shark, you know, the GameFAQs website. But then there was also, you know, like a bunch based off of wrestlers that, not the best looking, but I think they were pretty cool, just using the in-game textures. I really like the Al Snow and the Kane one that I made, if you want to check that out as well. And of course, you know, the Way Heavyweight title belt is something that I reactivated, which if you have the SK Styles edition, you know, you don't have to have the code for that anymore. But I don't really know why. Like, I get why it's not in Road to WrestleMania, but I never understood why they took that title belt design away from us in WrestleMania 2000. That had to have been like a WWE decision. They were like, hey, yeah, you know, Gilbert's not even the game, so we don't want you to use this belt design that we completely forgot about or something. You know, WWE's always been kind of weird with certain things when it comes to their video games. There was even an interview with Sanders Keel, who I've mentioned quite a few times in the past. He's like he was one of the big producers at THQ when these games were being developed. Like, there's even I don't know the exact details, but like I think he may have been like a very unpredictable guy or something like that to work with, because I think Jekyll in this game right here, you know, well, actually they kind of removed him, but Jekyll in WCW NWO Revenge, I guess that name was based off of that was like the nickname of Sanders Keel, because I guess you didn't know which version of him you were gonna get or something like that. So, but he mentioned in that same interview, it's on the Outsiders podcast, you know, if you want to hear some inside details about like certain things about, you know, No Mercy, the SmackDown titles, the AKI titles, all that sort of cool stuff, you know, check out the Outsiders podcast. And the interview is with Sanders Keel, and one of the things he said was that WCW didn't really give any sort of shit if like they put the fictional wrestlers in, but when it came to WWF, that's when things changed, and it was very specific on how, like, you know, guys were meant to be presented, who could be in the games and who couldn't be. So all sorts of interesting guidelines on that. Just lots of a really awesome interview. It's like 2 hours, I think, if that. And it's just one of the most interesting developer interviews I've ever seen personally. And he's got a few of them that I'd like to watch at some point. But that was his best one, I think. Let's see if we can pull out a cheap victory. Oh, wow. Didn't even need the finisher, folks. Like I said, though, I'm not going to play with everybody that was newly added or every skin that was added in this title. However, if you guys want to see any specific characters, you know, feel free to comment down below. I'm going to play as like all the big guys. You know, obviously I'm going to do Ric Flair, Wrath at some point, because they were newly added. I'm going to play as, you know, the majority of the WWF guys and stuff like that too that were added. So if you have any, you know, other suggestions or skins or something like that you want me to play as, you know, feel free to share down below, and I'll probably get to it at some point. But there's just so much stuff that was added in this game. It's going to get kind of repetitive if I play as too many of those characters. Thanks for watching, folks. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and subscribe to me, Bean O'Mac. Tomorrow's video, I review the recent RagDas Romhack WCW vs NWO 9 Underground. Every Sunday I do comparison videos, evolution of the series, personal rankings, and more one-off videos. If you want to see a non-AKI wrestling game playthrough, check out my return to WWE SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. And if you want non-wrestling playthroughs, subscribe to my Let's Play channel, Bean O'Mac, link in the description below. Above all else, though, please remember to have a nice day.